Lisa's in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Just fine, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Well, it's an honor to speak with you.
Too.
This is actually my second or third time. I can't remember. I spoke to you about a year ago because I had this idea that I was going to pay off the house after I cashed out some stock from my company, from a former job. But you said it wasn't going to be enough to pay it off, and I really should stick it in my retirement since I hadn't put it in there for a while, any retirement funds. So what I did was I cashed out the stock, and I put it in the bank, and then I sat on it for a year. And it's sitting in the bank right now, you know, gathering dust, collecting like 0.0001% interest. And the problem is my husband and I are at a disagreement about what to do with the money because the financial broker that we're using kind of made a boo-boo when I rolled over my IRA to him with my husband's IRA. The two of us rolled over 4 accounts. So it was kind of confusing for them. But what they ended up doing was they put my Roth money into a traditional IRA, and so I didn't catch it until I was actually doing taxes, and by then a year had passed, and they didn't believe me, and it took me like a week of losing sleep and kind of having to garner evidence from, you know, my former employer to show that I had given them both funds. There was 2 different funds, Roth and non-Roth. And he kind of just laughed at me and said, "We don't make mistakes. You're mistaken." And my husband says I should just forget it and forgive, which, you know, we're Christians. We believe in forgiveness. We believe in tithing. But I have this big chunk of money. I want to max out my IRA for the year. And at Class A shares, you know, you give this to the guy, and it's 5% off the top. And I know he's not going to make another mistake because I'm going to watch him like a hawk. But I know I could just do it myself, you know, if I just opened up my own account and rolled it over. But then I'm leaving my husband behind because we both use the same investor. And I don't know, emotionally it feels like I'm just divided from my husband if I walk away and find a new place to invest that IRA.
Okay. Well, let's clarify something.
Okay.
When Christians are called to forgive, there's a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Okay? If someone abuses your child, would be one of the worst possible things you could think of, right?
Right.
And I don't know how I could forgive them. I'd probably kill them. But I'm called as a Christian to forgive them.
Right.
That does not mean I hire them as a babysitter the next week. That's the difference in forgiveness and reconciliation. Okay? Forgiveness does not mean you submit yourself to someone stealing your wallet again. You know, that's the difference in reconciliation and forgiveness. You cannot be reconciled and still have forgiven. It means I don't want anything to do with them, but I've forgiven them. Okay?
Right.
And so let's separate those two clearly from a spiritual standpoint. Now, once we've covered that, I don't think this is a financial problem. I think this is a problem with you and your husband. And I think the two of you are going to have to reconcile. You're either going to have to accept that this guy is competent and made one simple error. The problem is not the error, though. The problem is the arrogance in the way you were treated.
Yeah.
And the fact that your husband doesn't back you on that is a little troubling. Okay, so you smell a rat. You've got a problem with this guy. And I got to tell you, I'm the financial guy. I work with financial people all the time. We've got accounts, we've got investments, we've got all these different things going on. And if my wife says I will not work with this guy anymore, then we have to put the brakes on. Even though she doesn't know the details, I mean, she's probably not as well versed as you sound like you are. Okay?
Yes.
When she understands our investments, but you're neck deep in this stuff. You got your fingers down in it, okay?
Right.
But, you know, but even though she's not doesn't have her fingers as far into it maybe as you do, if she's got a bad feeling about the guy, we don't work there anymore. We have to change. But for 2 reasons. One is Proverbs 31 says, "Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, and he will have no lack of gain." And so every time I go against one of Sharon's feelings, it costs me a minimum of $10,000. I quit doing it.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Okay. No, but she doesn't misplace that and become arrogant because it says a virtuous wife.
Right.
So that means she doesn't play that trump card hardly ever. But if she says, that guy's a bad guy, that gal's a bad gal, then you know what? I don't do deals with them. You know, and the fact that if this guy mistreated my wife that way, a bit arrogant to her, you know, that would have ended the thing for me. And it's not because I'm being chivalrous or something like that. It's because it's a financial principle. I have no lack of gain because my wife and I stay in unity. Do you see the thing? For me, it's a financial pragmatist principle. And that's where I want you and your husband to get back to on this. And again, that may be kind of a spiritual decision between the two of you. And then you fire this guy, and you move your accounts.
So you don't recommend us taking all of our?
Oh, I would move everything.
All or nothing, not split them up.
No, I would move everything because you don't trust him.
Well, see, and he also manages his 401ks. Company.
You can move.
So we're not really diversified when you look at it from his perspective.
No. That's. I don't mind one person having all your accounts. That's not a diversification issue. Diversification is where the investments are placed, not who's the broker, who the advisor is.
Well, then just one more quick thing then.
Now, let me stop. One other issue, and let me finish, and then I'll let you go to your one more quick thing, okay? The other problem is if he dies, this is your guy that you don't trust.
Right.
Your husband dies. If I die and my wife has a guy that she don't trust, and that's who she's got to call up and start managing the money with, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Right.
And vice versa. If I don't trust the guy, we're not doing deals with him. Because if Sharon dies, I got to deal with him. You know? And something that she's working on, whatever. So anyway, now your second part was what?
Well, since we've already rolled over to this stockbroker and it was a 5% off the top commission, if we turn around and roll it over again, we're talking about roughly $100,000 going to another broker, then isn't that going to be a second 5% off the top? So they're going to be losing
probably
another $5,000 in
probably
commission?
If you stay within the fund family, probably not. If you just keep it in the same funds and move it to a different managing broker, probably not.
Okay, I never thought of that.
You probably move it over
there. That's a good idea.
Because your fund choice is not your question. It's the way the guy treated you. And even the mistake is not a problem. Everybody makes mistakes.
Right.
I made some this morning, I'm sure. I probably made some on the air today, you know? Everybody makes mistakes. The only question is how you deal with it when you have a mistake. And treating my wife arrogantly when you screwed up is a really bad reaction to having made a mistake. Really bad, you know? So, you know, pat her on her little head. Well, give me a break, you twerp. Unbelievable. This is the Dave Ramsey Show. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to get the latest content and check out these other great clips from the show.